Hey everyone, what's going on? I know it's been a couple weeks since I made a video. I've had just a ton of stuff going on. I've started working full time again a while back, and then I had a wedding, and I've had a bunch of DJ gigs and band gigs. Just tons of stuff going on. And my girlfriend also has went back to work, and at nighttime, on some of the nights I have to watch my almost 3 month old baby, and there's no way you're gonna make a video with a 3 month old baby in the house, especially my house isn't very big and I talk loud, so there's just there's just no way I could do it. I mean, I could make some blog posts without making any sound, without waking him up, so I'm gonna try to make some videos. I'm sitting out in the car right now, and this video just happened just today, just a few hours ago, and it's just some interesting stuff, synchronicity type things that are going on that I want to talk about. And it really is truly connected to a lot of these other blog posts that I've been blogging about. Lots of stuff with the bridge symbolism that's also connected to the earthquake symbolism. We even had the TJ Miller, the actor, right? And with the bomb threat on the train. And they made sure to let us know that he was in the TV show Silicon Valley, which is in the San Francisco Bay. And we had this story the other day about this girl who wore her Women for Trump shirt and she posed with a gun for her college pictures. But notice the bridge in the background. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on with bridges. We've got this story about these two goats that were stuck under a bridge in Pennsylvania, a place that I've been talking about that's super connected to the bridge symbolism. Philadelphia, especially, but Pittsburgh is also known as the city of bridges. Lots of eagle symbolism as well. And, we had this Conor McGregor story about him throwing the dolly at the bus, and then we got a story of this drunk bus driver going to the Masters tournament, and then we got the story of the hockey team that was on the bus that crashed. There's a bunch of bus stuff and recent stories. And I also talked a whole bunch about the movie Rocky. There's lots of stuff with these bus things and how the bus stuff is interrelated back into WrestleMania, and in WrestleMania 31 that was in San Francisco, they had the bus crash on the Golden Gate Bridge. Also, this Canadian bus crash was interesting just for the fact that if you look it up, it says that the team has a close affiliation with St. Peter's College in nearby Munster, right? Or Monster, however you pronounce that. But, the day after this bus crash, we got the van ramming in Munster, Germany. So we have, and when the day after, so this hockey crash connected to Munster, Canada. Then the next day we got the Munster, Germany van attack. And if you look up on Wikipedia, these are the only four things they even list about Munster: the Munster cheese, and then once again, maybe it's something connected to Wisconsin, but it also makes me think of Philadelphia and cream cheese. So I don't know. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I talked about in these posts, even the TV show, the Munsters. But I want to stick to this post, and possibly I'll come back and explain a little bit more as we go along. But I just got on Facebook after work today, and I saw this story from one of the news stations on Facebook, and it talked about how there was 4 earthquakes that shook Nebraska in 2 days, on April 9th and also April 10th. And it's just interesting. There's not very many earthquakes that you hear of in Nebraska. And this article even tells us that there's only been 45 earthquakes since 1931 in Nebraska, and they got 4 earthquakes in a matter of 2 days this year. So yet again, the earthquake symbolism. And of course, Nebraska and gematria equals 44, just like earthquake. And yeah, Nebraska equals 44 and 55, just like earthquake equals 44 and 55. But the thing that really stuck out to me on this article is when I clicked on it, it shows you the map. And this is where the earthquakes happened. And they show all of these towns: Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Omaha, North Platte, and also Cheyenne. And then they show Valentine right here. And remember, Valentine's is showing us something in regards to Revelation 6:12 that talks about the great earthquake. And Valentine in gematria equals 612. It was a big number connected to the Stoneman Douglas shooting that happened 612 days after the Orlando Pulse nightclub, Pulse and Heartbeat, whatever else, the Pulse nightclub shooting on 6/12, right? And I just thought it was interesting. All these towns are really big. Like, Sioux Falls, not as big, but Sioux City's pretty big. Omaha, North Platte has like 30,000 some people. Cheyenne, I'm sure, has a whole lot of people. When you look at this town, it only has like not even 3,000 people. So it's just interesting that they would put this city on the map and there's no other cities in this vicinity that they would put on there, and a Valentine of all towns, right? So I knew it was something that I should look into. So I looked into the town of Valentine. Like I said, the population, it says in 2010, was not even 3,000. And if you read farther down into it, it talks about how in pop culture, on the American TV series Full House, Rebecca Donaldson hails from Valentine. And I thought, how interesting, because, of course, Full House set in San Francisco. She's even on the TV show called Wake Up San Francisco. And I made not tons, but I made 4 videos clear back in 2015. And if you've been following my channel, I've been saying how everything that I was talking about in 2015 seems to be coming true, and everything is connected to what I was talking about in 2015, such as the earthquake near Philadelphia. Then we had the Delaware earthquake, the 4.1, Super Bowl equals 41, and then we got the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, and a bunch of other things that I've talked about, even Ronda Rousey joining the WWE, and I talked about that in 2015, about how she won her final UFC fight the day after Roddy Piper died, and then her nickname was Rowdy Ronda Rousey, and then she even did the tribute to Roddy Piper. It was connected to the Bridgewater shooting that was showing us the Franklin Bridge in Philadelphia. I know it seems like a lot, but what I've been talking about in 2015 has been coming up a ton. And now I'm seeing, off of this weird story about an earthquake in Nebraska, I'm seeing the TV show Full House, which is I talked about in 2015 on some videos about the Loma Prieta earthquake. And also the 88th episode of Full House is called Fuller House. And then they made the remake of Full House called Fuller House. And 88 is a super important number to time. And it's the speed in Back to the Future for time travel. Anyway, I remember there was an episode of Full House where Stephanie was scared that her dad, Danny, was going to die. And it was after the Loma Prieta earthquake. And I looked up that episode. It just so happened to be the 55th episode, called Aftershocks. And it came out on December 8th, 1989. The 55th episode, remember, earthquake equals 55 in reverse reduce. And then it was called Aftershocks. Aftershocks equals 44. 44, 55, earthquake equals 44 and 55. So interesting. And that episode also aired 52 days after the Loma Prieta earthquake in 1989, which is interesting just because Fuller House equals 52 in gematria, and there's a whole bunch of stuff with the number 52 that was connected to the Eagles being in Super Bowl 52. It was connected to 923. That was important to Pope Francis, who made his visit to the United States on 923, and he arrived in America on his 923rd day as being the Pope. And we had the train wreck in Philadelphia at 9:23 p.m. and the movie Trainwreck that came out with Amy Schumer's character where she was 9 years old and the rest of the movie took place 23 years later, and LeBron James was in the movie. LeBron James equals 923. It was just an important number, and that date, 923, can also be 23/9, a lot like 239, which is the 52nd prime number. And also, May 2nd, 5/2, is the 122nd day of the year. San Francisco in gematria equals 122. It's located on 122 degrees west. Pope Francis equals 122. In 2015, the Golden State Warriors won the NBA Finals, and the Kansas City Royals won the World Series. Kansas City equals 122. Golden State equals 122. Stuff I was talking about in 2015. And San Francisco, named after St. Francis of Assisi, who Pope Francis also supposedly got his name from. So there's all these connections to Pope Francis. Pope Francis is the Pope. The word pontiff means bridge builder. Pope Francis is absolutely super connected to the bridge symbolism. Donald Trump wants to build the wall. Pope Francis said that real Christians don't build walls, they build bridges. So lots of stuff with the bridge symbolism. Anyway, Golden Gate also equals 239. And Jewish gematria, 239, the 52nd prime number. And Fuller House equals 52. This episode aired 52 days after the Loma Prieta earthquake. And I know this is the newer one. It's not Full House, but it's interesting for a bunch of reasons, because Fuller House, I noticed off of this, also equals 527 in Satanic gematria, and 527 as a date just so happens to be the 81st anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge this year. The 81st anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge opening. Golden Gate Bridge equals 81 in the frontwards and the reverse method. Remember the Minnesota Bridge collapse that happened on 8/1 and fell 81 feet, and the main trusses were 81 meters long, and it took the emergency crew 81 minutes to get everybody to the hospital. Lots of 81 stuff in regards to bridge collapses. Pope Francis is 81 years old this year, and he turned 81 days after the Jesuit anniversary, which is also in 2015, was the same day that Pope Francis left Philadelphia. And he's the first Jesuit Pope. Donald Trump went to a Jesuit university. I also thought it was interesting that 52 days is 1 month, 21 days. The word Valentine's equals 121. Revelation equals 121. And I'm talking about how Valentine has that connection to 612, and Revelation 6:12 talks about the great earthquake. Also, Fuller House, if you look it up, it currently has 44 episodes. Remember, earthquake equals 44. Full House has 192 episodes, and if you've been following my blog, there's been something really important to 192 that's connected to my son and a bunch of other things. The word Pope even equals 192. So, I don't know, interesting, I didn't put that in here, but I thought about it. And then, also, what was interesting is when you look up Rebecca Donaldson, who is from Valentine, Nebraska, on the TV show Full House, it talks about how she realized that her and Jesse were not really ready to get married. They eventually get married in the second part of season 4 episode, The Wedding, on Valentine's Day. So they even got married on Valentine's Day. She's from Valentine, Nebraska. And I even talked about that in my old video. It's just been so long, I forgot. But that episode where they got married, The Wedding Part 2, just so happens to be the 87th episode, and it's the one that came out just before the Fuller House episode. There's no coincidence. That episode, they get married on Valentine's Day, and she's from Valentine, Nebraska, and it comes out the episode before Fuller House, and then now they bring back Fuller They bring back Full House and call it Fuller House. It's connected to San Francisco. I also just thought of the theme song. I thought the theme song had some interesting lyrics in regards to how all of this works and how it's oddly connected. And the things I look up, I'm telling you, the weirdest things, such as this story about an earthquake in Nebraska. And when you just look at the picture they gave you, it's just interesting why they would put just Valentine in there. And for whatever the reason, I noticed all of this stuff because of it. And I'm going to explain a little bit more of that in a minute because a lot of that was happening tonight. So, but the lyrics, whatever happened to predictability, the milkman, the paperboy, evening TV, like, I don't know, it's just interesting. Predictability is talking about just anything. The milkman, the paperboy, the TV. They would talk, everywhere you look, right? And I'm telling you, I was thinking about this earlier at work, and I've thought about it multiple other times, but learning this system, whatever is going on, there is signs and symbolism everywhere. I could see a guy just wearing a shirt that said "Sup, dude" on it today, and he might wave at me, and then in 2 months I'll be like, I know what I was supposed to see. I was supposed to remember that shirt, "Sup, dude," and it's telling me this. And I know that might sound crazy, but it's the truth. Like, if you just pay attention to your everyday life, there's signs every day and all day long. And if you just pay attention, it means something. There's meaning in everything. It's almost like, everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that because whatever's going on, if you just pay attention, I'm telling you, it makes sense. It might make sense right away, or it might not make sense for 5 years, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, I totally get what I was supposed to see. I mean, I thought Pink was going to sing the national anthem because of some stupid Christmas toy called a fingerling, and I was watching the movie The Number 23, and then in the movie Number 23, he's the character called Fingerling or whatever. So, and Fingerling, when you look that up, it has references to the color pink and a bunch of other stuff. So, it does sound crazy, but if you just pay attention, and it's like, the milkman, the paperboy, the evening TV, they're all showing you signs. If you just pay enough attention every day, if you just look at it, there's a reason for it. And I know that's hard to fathom, but I've had trouble with that myself, but I'm beginning to notice that literally everything that happens, everything that anybody even says to me, it could be the simplest thing. If you're paying attention to it, there's a reason there's a reason for it. So anyway, what was super interesting is I wanted to go back and look at my old Full House videos and see the information and see what I had talked about in them videos because it's been so long I couldn't remember. And just yesterday, I was going to start working on a video because I'm starting to make this website that I talked about. I want to just make a gematria website, try to get as many blogs and videos, people's video channels and whatever else up on here. And then, I even put like a link to the gematria calculator. I don't know if I'm going to keep this picture or whatever. I just haven't really fully, I'm just kind of experimenting with it a little bit and trying to figure out how to do it all. And I was going to put Zach's video here. I took all the parts of this gematria video lesson and I put it together. And what I noticed though, it doesn't have the reverse gematria in it. It teaches you how to gematria, but it doesn't talk about the reverse and it doesn't talk about why the reverse is significant. And I was going to just make a new video where I showed why reverse is significant and some other things like satanic gematria equaling 666 and satanic gematria. But I wanted to show like one of the big reasons why reverse is so important is because it goes back to duality and hermetic principles, right? And let's see if it pulls up here. I printed off, I had this picture because I was going to give it at a presentation, but it talks about the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, so above, as within, as without, and it talks about the principle of polarity, everything is dual, and then I was going to go on and talk about the Big Bang Theory, how Sheldon has the dream about meeting God, and it's the number 10, but it's actually binary, a 1 and a 0, but God in gematria equals 10, and talk about Marilyn Manson song, You Say God, and I say 10, and God equals 10, and Satan equals 10 in reverse. I was just going to show all these things of why gematria is important in reverse, such as, what is it? White House equals 137. I can't even remember them all. I have to look them all back up. But there's lots of interesting, connections that are connected in reverse. And I'm going to make a video on that. And I just started doing some more research into Hermeticism the other night because of that. And I was telling my girlfriend about it. A long time ago, I watched some video about how Thoth, who is also Hermes, basically, it talked about the pole shifts, right? Edgar Casey talking about the pole shifts every so many years, and basically it wipes people's brains and you have to start all over. And people just can't understand things for so long, and Thoth would come back and give people some knowledge, and then we would learn some stuff, and then he would go away for a while until he felt we were ready to learn some more, and he'd come back and teach us some more. It's kind of like what I feel like I'm experiencing, right? Where like I'll learn a little bit, and then a year or so later, I might all of a sudden be able to understand better of what something I was looking up from 2015, right? So I just thought it was interesting. I'm telling my girlfriend about this just before I even start making this blog post, and I had just looked it up last night. And when I search for these videos on YouTube, I eventually find out that I eventually see my videos, but I'm going to show you here in a second why it's significant. But I eventually see my videos, and I talk about John Stamos, and I write Hermes, John Stamos, Golden Boy, Full House. And the reason I write that is because in Full House, you learn that John Stamos' character, his real name's not Jesse Consopoulos, it's actually Hermes Consopoulos, right? Hermes. What are the odds that I'm telling my girlfriend about Hermes? Just last night I was looking up the Hermetic principles and studying a little bit more about Hermeticism so I would be prepared for this video. And now one of my Full House videos is about Hermes. Anyway, look what happened when I tried to... I want to show you what happened when I tried to search these videos, because YouTube was being crazy and it would not let me search these videos for the life of me. It was acting super strange. And even weirder is that for some reason it recorded sound and I didn't even hook up my webcam. And from as far as I know, this computer has never had a built-in web or a built-in microphone. Even when I bought it, it said it didn't come with one. So I don't know how in the world sound is on this video when I just recorded the screen, but there's sound on there. I don't know if it's like through my speakers or what, or maybe there is a built-in microphone or whatever else, but the quality is terrible if there is. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. There was sound on there, but YouTube would not let me look at my videos when I would search them, and it was giving me taking me to some weird stuff. It would say, this channel does not exist. It took me to some other random channel that has 72,000 subscribers. Only 6 videos though. How do you have 6 videos that aren't even that funny or anything, and you have 72,000 subscribers, So let me just play the clip. I'm gonna turn the volume off in it though, because it's really distorted and loud. But here we go. So I type in full house, and I push enter, and then it takes me to my videos, and then it just instantly goes back to this page. So I didn't think there's sound, so I just wrote, why won't it load my videos or something up here, so you'd understand. Otherwise, I would have just said it. Why won't it load my videos? So I thought, I don't know, we'll refresh the page. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe something's wrong with it. And it did this for like 10 minutes before I even started recording it. Full house, enter. And it takes me to that. This channel does not exist, which makes no sense. So I try it again. It just does nothing. It took me, I don't know, it's just so weird. Then it shows my video, then it just goes back to my home page again. So I switched my account to my other one, thinking maybe there's something with my account. And it did the same thing. Same thing again. At some point I open up a new web page, I think right here. So I just open up a whole new window. And then it takes me to that. What the hell is that? Viral buffet? Like, seriously. I don't get it. I don't understand. I guarantee there's something I'm supposed to see off of this, too. That's what I'm saying. For whatever the reason, I'm supposed to see something off of that. So, and then it finally let me come back to this. So, I know earlier in the video it did too, but I was doing it really fast and I didn't even notice. Because every time I pushed back, it would load the videos. You see right here, it loaded it. But I was like doing it so fast trying to figure out what was going on. And then it still just kept taking me to some like weird pages and stuff. So, I don't know. I haven't figured it out or thought about it or looked that much into it. But I just thought it was interesting. And then I noticed when it finally did load, I noticed that one of the videos involved Hermes and the Golden Boy, right? Which in this video I even talk about Steph Curry being the Golden Boy and how I don't think that the Golden State Warriors are going to lose. I don't see how the Golden State Warriors aren't going to win the NBA Finals or whatever, but because there's so much stuff connected to San Francisco. I don't know how it's connected to this year, because I really feel like it's for the Houston Rockets. Lots of symbolism for the Houston Rockets, but, once again, I made that mistake last year because Houston Rockets equal 175, just like Golden State, just like Pope Francis, so I don't even really care, to tell you the truth, but I just want to show the connections, I guess. So, also what I find interesting is a lot of times when there's tons of stuff that always happens when I'm listening to the gematria effect. I don't know what the deal is. If it's, or if it's just because it's Wednesday and Wednesday is an important day, or what the deal is. But I have lots of synchronicity when I'm listening to the gematria effect. I documented tons of different things about it. And I was just thinking about how it is on Wednesday nights, and Wednesday comes from Woden's Day, which is Odin, right? And Odin is associated with Mercury, and Hermes is also the equivalent of Mercury, right? And so Hermes is basically Wednesdays are even named after Hermes in a roundabout way. So I just thought that was interesting as well, that this is a Wednesday, something to do with Hermes, And think about the god Mercury in regards to money and gold in San Francisco, the gold rush. In the first video that I have on YouTube, then, I mentioned this movie, 10.5, because there's a clip that somebody put up on YouTube about Full House, and it was just like a funny clip, and they made it where the Golden Gate Bridge collapsed when they were driving over it. So just interesting. I talk about this movie 10.5, but it has the Space Needle collapsed on it. Something that if you've been following my blog, I've talked about a little bit. Something connected to the Space Needle in Seattle. In this film, the Golden Gate Bridge also gets destroyed too, so it's all to do with the West Coast. But just thought it was interesting. The cover has the Space Needle on it. I also mentioned this film, San Andreas, and I talk about how it stars The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, who's important to the Ronda Rousey stuff that I talked about with Roddy Piper and how it's connected to Hulk Hogan, and earthquakes connected to Philadelphia. And The Rock is in this movie. I can't believe I forgot all about that. The movie San Andreas that has The Rock in it. So you have to be following what I've been saying for a while, but I need to I've never even watched this movie before, so maybe I need to go watch that movie. Maybe there's something important to see. There was a Rocky reference at work today. They were talking about well, it's hard to explain, but my new neighbor, in a long story short, my new neighbor is a girl I graduated with who it must be getting a divorce or something. I was talking about that at work, and then later on, a different coworker came back and was talking about somebody else's wife or something leaving them, and she was trying to explain to me where they lived, and they ended up living next to this lady named Rocky or whatever. But just moving on. But in one of the first video too, I talked about the Loma Prieta earthquake and the baseball, the World Series in 1989 that it occurred at, or it occurred during. And I just zoomed in on the video because I saw something I never saw before. It said, in the immediate aftermath of the earthquake, ABC aired a rerun of Roseanne. So, like, after the earthquake hit and ABC was airing the World Series, the first thing they aired right after that was an episode of Roseanne. And remember, Roseanne just made its comeback. Roseanne's super connected to a bunch of things that I've been talking about with the Big Bang Theory. Just crazy. So, how interesting. Roseanne makes its comeback. Fuller House is out now. I also talked about this guy, Dick Enberg, in one of the videos. And he just died in December of 2017, which I thought was interesting. Never looked that much into it, but just interesting. In 2015, I was talking about this guy. I think I was talking about something to do with the Tournament of Roses. There was all of Pete Rose was a big deal in 2015, and Derrick Rose was injured, and there's lots of Rose and Valentine's symbolism that was connected to Michael Jordan, who got his jersey stolen on Valentine's Day, and he had to wear number 12, and he's connected to Philadelphia. I also mentioned in one of the videos how Jesse Consopoulos loves the Beach Boys and Elvis, and I talked about Elvis and the song I'm All Shook Up, and the Beach Boys song Good Vibrations, right, reminding us of earthquakes and whatnot. So I don't know, maybe I was missing something what I was talking about, but just interesting. I even mentioned that in the videos. And then we had the death of Charles Manson, who was connected to the kneeling during the national anthem and the Super Bowl. That was all began because of Colin Kaepernick and the San Francisco 49ers. And Charles Manson had the connections to the Brian Wilson or whatever, the Beach Boys. So there's just so much going on. It's truly all interrelated. And one last thing, and then I'm going to be done here, but I talked about Hermes Trismegistus, who is Hermes, basically, and I talked about the feast day being on May 23rd, And I said that's just interesting because Donald Trump's the president now, right? And Donald Trump equals 523 in satanic gematria. It was a big day we were watching out for last year. Lots of other things going on with it. 23/5, right? Reminding us of the Freemason compass or whatever, 23.5 degrees, 23.5 degrees, and the tropics that are located at 23.5 north, 23.5 south and stuff. But Full House's final episode also aired on 5/23. So, just wanted to make a log video. I haven't made a video in a while. I really wanted to make some other videos, but I'm really tired. Possibly, I can't even do it tomorrow because I have band practice right after work. So possibly Friday afternoon, I'll try to make some shorter videos talking about some of this other stuff. I really want to, but I don't know. I got a DJ Friday night now too, so I just got so much going on. So hopefully this makes sense. There's something going on with earthquakes. I really feel like Philadelphia or San Francisco, maybe it's just symbolic and it's going to be something with some other place in an earthquake, but they are really foreshadowing earthquake and something to do with a bridge. So, trying to figure this puzzle out. Really seems like it's pointing to Philadelphia or San Francisco. So, I don't know. Just trying to figure it out. If it keeps going the way that it's been going, things that I'm talking about 2015 have been coming true like crazy. So that means that there's either an earthquake in Philadelphia or San Francisco on its way. So anyway, I've talked enough. Have a good night. Peace.